Hello, everybody. Let me see if I can turn this music down. Hope you all hear me. Everybody can hear me fine in the private chat. So I got my banner rolling. We are good. We are good. Just getting a little setup here before we get the party started. Okay, here we go. Welcome to Coffee Tea, You and Me, everybody. My name is Coach Powell, Coach Powell Training Development. Every Friday for almost 20 years, I've been getting together with entrepreneurs, business leaders, helping them to really focus on the things that are required for them to focus to develop their businesses at the highest level. Now, when you talk about developing your network and really understanding how to masterfully deal with the techniques, the strategies, the tactics, everything you need to do to make sure you're doing well, that's what we've been talking about for the last few weeks. We've been talking about the tactics. We've been talking about the techniques. We've been talking about the skills. But today, we're going to wrap it up and start talking about the strategic ideas and concepts that you're going to need to embrace to truly become a masterful networker. Now, I don't want you all to think that Coach Powell's leaving you out here by yourself with a whole bunch of nonsense that you can't practice. So I've already downloaded in the chat the ideas that I have shared with you via execution, right? So how do you execute your plan? How do you create a plan? How do you create a strategy? How do you execute? It's all there. There are several different articles that I've pulled together over the years and written about and contributed to. And I'm updating those with some very new strategic information, which I will finish out next week and make sure I deliver it to you. That's right, scot-free. You don't have to worry about it. It's all going to be there, including the reference materials. So you can go back and follow up and make sure you're thinking, so you're not thinking that Coach Powell is just a bunch of nonsense. You know what he's talking about. So it's all out there, and there's really no excuse except for you need to be willing to download the material, read the material, accept the material, ask questions about the material. I put my information that's scrolling across the screen right now so that you feel comfortable asking me questions. Contact me, put your information in the chat, whatever. Let's speak about the chat for a second. Many of you have been using the chat to highlight your businesses or conferences that you plan to attend or things that you're sponsoring that you want other people to know about. Let me tell you something. This is a business-friendly channel. I don't hold anything back for anybody. So if you have some ideas, some offerings, something that you want to put in the chat, feel free to do so. Make sure, though, that those offerings are not anywhere near solicitous, not solicitous, but salacious, is that's the word I'm looking for, right? I want to make sure that everything, you keep it clean, right? Keep it above board, and everything will be good. If you haven't already followed us, shared us, make sure you share it again. Make sure you follow it again. Make sure that you give us a thumbs up when you need to give us a thumbs up. Make sure that you do everything that you can not to keep this a secret. Because the more small businesses that we can impact, the more we can have a positive impact on our economic outlook within the U.S. and abroad. People are following this program from all over the country. In fact, I see some of my friends out in the comment section already. One of the first people to log on at 3 o'clock was Miss Pamela Colton. So good to see you, Pamela. Thank you so very much for logging on today. I really appreciate you. And I appreciate all the entrepreneurs and business leaders who log on, whether you're following us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and now on Instagram. That's right. We're broadcasting live on Instagram right now. It is a wonderful Coach Powell party time, right? So let me give you a brief update as to what's been going on with me. For those of you all been following me on various different social media platforms, you may know that I am maybe about not quite 2 weeks out of major lower lumbar fusion surgery. Now, what that is they literally came into my L2, 3, and 4 lower lumbar discs and replaced them with new structures, right? And then caged all that up and locked all that down so that I can't break anything. And until today, right now, there's still staples in my back. Now, I have to say, Since the moment I went under the knife, my recovery has been nothing less than miraculous. Literally, my caregivers, the nurses, the doctors, my family, everybody is shocked and surprised at how quickly I am bouncing back, responding, moving around, doing the things I need to do to get myself back up on my feet and running. I stopped taking the medication like within 2 days of coming out of surgery, so I'm on zero medication and I'm moving well. I'm moving much better than probably have in the last 5 to 10 years. So I'm really happy about that. I still have to take it easy. No bending, no heavy lifting, no twisting, but everything is going well. I owe it all to the absolute grace of God and the friends and family who have come through and been my prayer partners and have put the highlight and the spotlight on my wellness and with the love and the compassion that they all have. So I'm thankful for everybody who sent in grace, who sent in prayers, who are have done so much for me. I can't say that this is the first time I've had an actual living testimony to the grace that God can have for an individual, but I have to say, this is one of the greatest moments that I've ever had to say. All due to God. Thank you very much for everything. And I'm so grateful. I can't be more grateful. And I love everybody, literally, I love everybody who has thought about me, who has shared about with me and who have, come to my rescue. Some of my best clients came by to see me in the hospital. I'm like, are you kidding me? Who has a life like this? It's only me. Wonderful family members, my lovely wife, my lovely daughter. Everybody has poured in, and I am so excited and happy for their contributions and their thoughts and their love. Okay, having said that, today's program is about literally strategic thinking and ideology and planning within your networking strategy. And I want you to think about this because if you look forward at the trajectory of where you want to be in your life and in your business, there are going to be people that are there. They're going to be at the ready, right? They're going to be in your internal circle. They're going to be in the people that you depend on, the people that depend on you, and the people that you make most of your contributions to, people who make tons of contributions in your direction, people you collaborate with, people who support you and you support them, people who lean on you, you lean on them, and you create this win-win type of dynamic that moves the needle forward for everyone when you understand how to network strategically. So I got to take a backdrop to everything that I've taught you in the 9 steps to masterful professional relationship building. And the top 3 core responsibilities of anybody who wants to become brilliant at mastering these types of relationships are: 1, you have to learn how to listen. And I mean listen like your life depended on it, to people who are mavens in your industry, people who are key leaders, people who are idea policymakers, people who move the needle in terms of how money's going to get invested or how ideas are going to be launched and moving forward in your business and in your industry. You have to be very good at understanding and listening to what's going on in the industry, what's going on with the key leaders of the industry, what they're thinking, what they're saying, and you have to figure out ways to invite yourself into that conversation. That's thing 1, listen up. Thing 2, once you've listened and you understand and you figure out a place where you fit into the forward flow of your industry, now you need to be seen by those same captains of that industry in a way that's going to be meaningful. You have to learn how to bring your A game. You have to learn how to make promises to those people, how to situate yourself and create an environment for you to make promises that you can fulfill and will fulfill and keep. And then you have to learn how to follow up and follow through. Let's go back to promises for a minute. Promises that you make, promises, I always call that particular section, are not just the promises that you make, but the promise that you have. You have to have an internal wisdom, an internal understanding of what you really bring to the table and how meaningful, what kind of meaningful contribution you can make. Because when you know what kind of meaningful contribution you can make to an industry, to an environment, to an organization, to a conference, to whatever you're trying to do, now you know how to authentically show up, right? Don't show up promising that you could do amazing things that you can't do, but show up promising to do the amazing things that you know for a fact that you can do. And if you don't know what you can do your homework on yourself, right? Do all the assessments that you have to do for yourself to figure out where you are, in fact, golden and where you can be dependable. Because that's what's missing in many industry conferences or many industry places. People don't know what they actually can depend on people for, because all of us have been taught to be so humble and shy that we don't even know how to step our foot forward and show up and engage in a meaningful, powerful way to people who have the influence and the ability to help us do it faster and better. So you have to make sure you're on top of what your promise is before you make promises to other people, because that's where you set expectations. And the first level of expectations is the third level of networking, right? Follow up and follow through. Two different words. They do not mean the same thing, because following up on something that you've already promised, right, is a commitment that you've made, an expectation that you've set, and now you have every reason to follow up, because that promise that you made was something that somebody expected you to follow up on, to follow up and deal with it, right? And actually do what you say you're going to do, whether that's deliver some kind of meaningful information or make some kind of meaningful connection or have some type of personal professional meeting at a later date or whatever that is. You have to follow up. Now, following through means after you've done the thing that you followed up with, now you want to make sure you follow through well, right? You've done it. You did what you said you're going to do. You need feedback. You need the next opportunity to make a new promise, to follow up again, because that is the pace and how all relationships grow, not just professional ones, but all relationships. It starts with making small commitments, honoring those commitments, making another commitment, honoring that commitment, making another commitment, honoring that commitment, and progressively, as you get deeper and deeper into relationship, where you can now ask for what it is that you want, and people will meaningfully and carefully and wonderfully deliver it, you have to have added something meaningful to the table. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you are coming from a place of, I want, but I don't want to contribute, stop right there. You're done. Game over. You're not going to win. Now, these are just a couple of skills that I've mentioned amongst the 9 separate skills you have to become a masterful networker. But they're the core 3 skills that you have to keep coming back to over and over again, improving and getting better at. And so I would suggest to you, if you're looking into a networking function, or you're looking at a conference that's coming up, or you're looking at something that you want to attend coming up, you ask yourself those questions. Who should you be listening to? Who should you, and for what reason, right? And what could you meaningfully expect if they were to fall in love with you? And how do you go about creating that dynamic relationship that you want to go? What skills need to have happen? Now, we'll tell you this one little secret. The person who knows best how to get into a high quality relationship with me is me. And so if you want to get into a high quality relationship with me, you best figure out as soon as you can what that might mean or look like to me. And it's a simple question that you can ask to anybody, but I'll show you how you can ask it with me, because I want you to make sure you get this. Anybody who's ever asked me, hey, Marvin, I really want to elevate myself with you to a high level of trust, so much so that you're willing to introduce me to the industry leaders and mavens that you know that might make a difference to myself and my business. What do I have to do? What do I have to show you? Who do I have to be to actually build that kind of trust relationship with you. You see, you can't just do stuff and hope to build trust, because everybody has a different trust meter, so to speak. Because we all are equipped with a whole bunch of baggage from past relationships that are either, it's good baggage or it's bad baggage, but it's baggage still. And that information from those past previous opportunities, personal or professional, are we're really engaging our brains in how we accept and tolerate and deal with new opportunities for professional relationships. So you have to be very careful before you begin that process of building a professional relationship. As you go too far down the road and you end up doing things or trying to make promises and commitments that really don't matter to the person that you're talking to. And they're going to say, when you say to them, hey, you know what? I found this brilliant research that I want to share with you that I think is going to be really, really magnificent. Would you mind if I send it to you? And out of obligation, they're going to say, yes. And it could be absolutely meaningless to them, because they're not going to read it. They're not going to engage with it. They're not going to ever get around to following up or looking at it. They might even open up the email that you send them, right? And so you have to be very careful and make sure that whenever you make a promise that you're going to do something for someone else, what you're doing for them is something that they want to be done for them. And they're expecting and accepting the gift that you're trying to share, the contribution that you're trying to make. I hope I was clear on that. But if anybody has any questions about any of that, let me know, because now we got to get into strategy. These are just skills. Skills are useful to a certain extent, and they're only useful in individual things. So your individual skills of how you accomplish what you need to accomplish for strategic networking or whatever that is, those are separate and distinct things. You use a skill to do a certain thing, right? Tactics, on the other hand, we talked about that a couple weeks ago, are groups of skills that you might employ to accomplish an end as a tactical end. Now, often use tactical thoughts when we talk about tactical maneuvers. It's really to accomplish a small goal, right? You don't win the war with tactics. You win the war, you win the battle with tactics. Today, you win the day with right tactics. But the relationship that's ongoing and continuing and robust and growing and moving forward, you don't win that with just having good tactics today, right? So your skills are on tactics only going to get you so far. That'll get you to first base. It'll get you to the next meeting. It'll get you to the next opportunity as best as you possibly can with that person. But now you have to have technique. Technique is the way you specifically employ the tactics that you have done. So that's where your style comes in. That's where your personality and that's where your character gets to shine. This is very, very important, because how you do what you do means your character is going to show up and be there in full display. And character is critically important to building trust. And so anytime people can see you doing what you're doing, but they can't see who you are behind it, they can't see your passion for it, they can't see, why it makes sense to do it this way and so on and so forth, then they're going to think you got bad character. And nobody can trust somebody with bad character. In fact, the recipe for trust is the building of both character and competence. When a person has had both character and competence, then you can give them the trust. But without both of those things, it's very difficult for people to give even specific trust. So be careful about that when you're showing up with your contribution or what you think you want to add to the conversation, or how you want to be. Even in the appropriate delivery of your business card or contact information or connection to whatever social media strategy you want to use, there's a way that you do that and a way that you don't do that, right? For certain, and everybody's different. So you have to know what you're doing with people in order to really, really move a personal relationship forward, a personal professional relationship forward. Okay, so we talked about skills, we talked about tactics, we talked about technique. Now let's talk about strategy. When you begin with an overall strategy, your strategy done well will include tons of research that validate the moves that you intend to make, not just with one individual, but with everybody that you want to place on the front lines of your professional network. Let me say this again in a different way. There are people out there who deserve your absolute very best. And if you do not have a well thought through, well articulated, well designed, and well written plan of how you're going to attract them, how you're going to win them, and then how you're going to effectively leverage the talent, the techniques, and the skills that they have to offer you, then you're going to be in the losing end to someone who does have that strategy. Because that's what all leaders are looking for. They're looking for people to associate with them that makes sense for them to associate with them. They're looking for people to associate with that have something to offer, something that they understand and can come to and can trust and believe in. Everybody wants that. No one wants, as Zig Ziglar used to say, to be a general. What is the quote you should say? Always hope to be a meaningful specific and never a general phenomenon, something similar to that. And I remember Zig sharing that sentiment so many times with us, but it's important. People want to be around people who offer something meaningful and something valuable to them in their lives and in their business. We don't want to be around people who are just generally good people. I mean, yes, I want you to be a good person, but I want you to be a good person with something to offer, something valuable that I need, something that I've been looking for. And if you know me, you know, as a networker, I'm pretty upfront about what I need and what I'm looking for. And so if you come to me with something other than that, I'm going to question, were you ever listening to what I ever had to say? Or were you just on your own thing, you know, feeling yourself, as my daughter might say, right? So it's important that when you are trying to network and you're trying to leverage the network, that you understand what it is that they need you to bring to the table, right? I said earlier, you got to know what you bring to the table, right? I'm not saying make a departure from what it is you have to contribute or what it is you can meaningfully contribute. By the way, contribution is not just monetary contribution, because I have hijacked a many conferences on a many a day and not paid a dime to be there because I wanted to meet the people. I didn't like the conference necessarily. If I wanted to support the conference, that'd be a whole different ballgame. But if I just wanted to support the speakers or one speaker or one person that was going to attend that conference, then I'm going to approach that conference differently than if I thought, oh my God, look at all the wonderful workshops I can go to, and look at all the wonderful food we could have, and look at all the wonderful. That may be or might not be within my strategy. So if my strategy is I need to meet Oprah, and I know Oprah's going to this conference, I'm going to the conference to meet Oprah. And I'm going to figure out where Oprah's going to be, you know, and I'm going to corner Oprah in a polite and non-threatening way and find ways to introduce myself in a meaningful, powerful way. And that's all I want. I don't want nothing else. I don't want to hear the other speakers. I'm not interested in their point of view, perspective on blah, 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 because my strategy was to do exactly what I needed to do. So don't throw bad in terms of what you're trying to do. Don't just go register and pay for all these conferences without the appropriate strategy and the appropriate skills that you need to have in order to maximize the opportunity. Because nothing is more disastrous than to come home with a ton of business cards or contacts, which you have no clue what to do with or how to deal with them, or what's meaningfully expected from you or them or anybody. And it's just a whole bunch of nothing. Now, that's the introvert in me talking. Extroverts sometimes love. The more the merrier. That's kind of how they work in the world. And for me, I'm like, meaningful, specific, not, all the masses and all that kind of stuff. I don't need that. I need meaningful, specific. So if you're an extrovert, I hear you might understand where I'm coming from. You want to go in, critically do the things you need to do and get out. You don't want to hang out and just be the last one at the bar, or you just want to do well, and you want to make sure that your time is spent meaningfully. Okay, let's get into today's topic. We're talking about strategy, right? So first of all, strategy has to be well written. That's the first thing about strategy. If you don't have a well written, brilliantly articulated plan to get to where you want, and in my my last execution thing, I pulled together a whole networking strategy associated with what I wanted to do. And in that strategy, it has, first of all, my vision. What am I trying to accomplish? Right? Second of all, my mission. What is my mission? What is my passion? What is my purpose? Why am I doing this? And to whom do I want to do this with? And then second, there's the simple steps that I know I need to take. Right? And then lastly, there might be a methodology and some principal guidelines that I have to pay attention to. All of that is in one page. All right. Now, there's a lot more that went into creating that one page, but that's all there for your enjoyment. So all you have to do is download from either Facebook or LinkedIn, and I will post it again for those of you watching. I'm sorry, if those of you watching on LinkedIn, you can't just simply go to the chat and find it, because I don't post it. My current thing doesn't post directly to the chat, but I will put it in the chat after our talk today. So you'll be able to see just an outline of a networking strategy that I've used in the past to phenomenal success, right? But the simple thing is, in order for you to know that your strategy is right, what do you have to do? You have to test it. You can't just throw some stuff out there, because the opportunities are too critical, right? You have to test it before you use it. And the best way to test it is with the network you already have in place. If you already have people in place who are stakeholders to what you need, what you're doing in your life and your business, then review your strategy with them, hand it out to them, see them written, ask them, let them poke holes in it so that you can come up with all of the things that could possibly go wrong. And I got to make a note here. If you're unwilling to do that, to get the feedback on your strategy from other people who care about you, who depend on you, who possibly might benefit from your success, you got bigger issues to work out than just going out to a networking function or attending a conference. Because what you're saying, if you're saying you're going to go out this all alone, and you're saying that you're a person that's not really good for networking anyway, because you're thinking like a lone wolf strategy, right? And there's no such thing as a lone wolf. Wolves always travel in the pack. There's always alpha, yes, but there's always people who are with you, and you have to. If you're not going to embrace that thought process, why go out networking, trying to add people to your network when you're not going to work with them appropriately anyway? It's all going to be about you. And so, if you want your plan or your strategy to be successful, you have to understand your strategy is people intensive, and you have to be good at working with people already. If not, get good at working with people, and go back and read the 9 steps that we shared with you earlier, and work through those processes, and you're going to get better at this. Okay, so you have to be able to test it. You should be able to ask your advisory council or your stakeholders some critical questions about your plan. Let them punch holes in it, and ask them a whole bunch of what if questions. What if you can't afford to be a full-fledged group member in the network you're trying to join? What if you can't make the meeting times in the network you're trying to join? What if you make a mistake and identify the wrong mavens to connect to? Maybe you haven't really chosen the right people. What is your fallback plan? What if no one likes you? Let's be honest. You put your best foot forward out there, and some people go, "Oh, I can take it or leave it," right? If you don't have great business partners who can help you figure all that kind of stuff out, family members or friends, whatever, then, you need to go back to the drawing board. Don't go out there spending thousands of dollars to get invested with people when you don't know how to do this successfully. I've seen it happen to so many people. They go, "Oh, I'm going to this conference and I'm gonna come back and it's gonna be such a success." And and they don't have a plan, they don't have a strategy, they don't have the skills, the tactics, the techniques they need to make it happen, and they go out and they fall on their face. But if you don't feel like you have time for testing, I'm going to tell you, make the time. It's far too dangerous to your reputation for you to fail in just basic networking strategy, right? People might give you a second chance and even a third chance, but only if they know you're putting your best foot forward. If you're coming up short, then people are not going to give you the first and second chance, right? They're going to figure out that you don't get it. Man, and not only do you not get it, you don't get it right? And when it comes to building business relationships, you need to do it well, or guess what? Time's up. You're out. You don't get second chances. People will smile and nod and take your card, and then they'll pass on and move on. And they'll talk bad about you behind your back. They won't tell you in front of your face that you're not a person that anybody wants to talk to or engage with, or whatever. But you'll figure it out in how they treat you. So instead of going, "Hey, you know what? There's an extra reception going on out here. Why don't you come out and meet with us during the reception? We'd love to talk to you about your ideas and your thought process." That's how people are accepting you. I'm hoping to see you at the next conference. We're going to be doing blah 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 over here, and it would be great to have you there because of, again, the contributions that you've made to conversation, to the industry, to whatever, right? Now, I'm going to share with you next week a whole lot of details, but I'm going to start today with letting you know, because I'm updating the execution manual with some quality stuff, right? There are about 4 major considerations when you just think about your strategic planning. Number 1 is effective preparation. Prepare. Number 2, know that you are networking, right? And networking is about professional relationship building. It is not about transaction. And so you have to find ways to do that well. That's number 2. Number 3, expect, initiate, engage, and participate. Active participation is everything when it comes to networking, especially in conferences. Number 4, please don't forget this. Utilize social media. Utilize social media first. Utilize social media during. Utilize social media after any conference or networking function that you're going to attend, because it's going to make a big difference in how people accept you, how people look forward to you, expectations people have of you, all that kind of stuff. If you're not going to take pictures, if you're not going to get in the pictures, if you're not going to share, what you've learned or who you've met, not just who you've met, but what meaningful thing happened as a result of who you met, then you're not helping yourself create an environment where you can continue to win. Right. And so you want to do that. You want to do that, and you want to make sure that we're going to go through all that kind of stuff in details next week. And then we're going to close out everything we've talked about when it comes to the 9 steps to professional development. And so to masterful relationship building, I'm sorry. And so when you if you have any questions, again, my stuff is scrolling across the screen. You can jump in anytime. If you have some things you want to share, feel free to do so. Some events that you're going on, some things that are happening for you, please share. Any questions that you have over anything I've shared with you, please do so. I see people are following now on Facebook. They're out there on YouTube. I sure appreciate your time and your efforts and your attendance. You guys are amazing. I can't do this without you. Again, so feel free to share whatever you need to share with your friends, your environment, people around you, so that we don't have to keep this thing a secret. We can keep this party going. God bless you. I had a wonderful time. We've been at this now for about 40 minutes, getting close to that. Thank you for all your well wishes and all your prayers. Thank you for your input and your feedback. Anything you want to share, talk about, whatever in the future, let me know. I haven't really built out the next platform that I'm going to be talking about, because kind of was waiting to see how the surgery would turn out and whether I was going to either do it again or just hit a whole bunch of replays in order to keep the Friday sessions going. So if you have any thoughts about things that you're interested in, things that you want to hear about, things that you want to share with me, I probably already have some content built out about that. But let me know. I'm looking forward to working and answering any questions that you have or speakers that you might suggest. Bring them on. Let's go. I love you guys. Thank you so very much for your time and attention. Let's have a good one. I hope that you are as successful as you are intended to be and want to be. Bye now.